what you're affecting in an argument in table data cells. It's just a taste of what you can test for. What you really want to be doing is you want to be testing for illegal characters, so like less thans and greater thans. Make sure those aren't being returned to the client, and you want to check for those characters and have them encoded, double encoded, triple encoded, etc. And basically validating input or checking to see if your input validation is working correctly. And you don't have to waste time with an XSS or SQL injection cheat sheet to do this kind of testing. There's no point in working around a blacklist filter or something. If the server will return a less than symbol or anything that's you can start building XSS on, you should assume that it's vulnerable and you should fix it. So that brings us to is taking these tests and integrating them throughout our entire secure SDLC and using them during a compilation and at our integration phases as part of AMP build tasks or whatever else. So anytime you compile the program, you just run through the test, make sure nothing gets outputted back that you want and that you don't want. And so here's like a Java example. Selenium will export your HTML test to Java, and that's what our test looked like. It's really simple. You could fire these off to developers. They could integrate it into their integration tests. And
you can see the Selenium click where it has the XPath right there. So that's the XPath for the test.
Yeah.
And this is actually, hold on for a second before you change it, because this is the only thing we have from the test. So this is basically what we were going to show you, except in Java, right? So for those of you in the audience who can read Java, this might help a little bit more than even our demo.
So yeah, what we're doing is opening the awesome HTML, and then we're going to delete whatever cookie was set before as part of our comprehensive test. And then we're just going to type into the name field, document.cookie equals name equals XSS, when it expires, what's its path, etc. And then we're going to do a click, and the click clicks in the XPath for the button that's labeled chat. You can do more specific XPaths, but this is just for simplicity to show. And then we verify that we received the cookie from that, and then we delete it. And it shows in Selenium, as you run it, which ones passed, which ones failed. So
and anybody can do this with the tool itself, because it's like play, stop, etc. It's like running a debugger, It's really simple.
And so the thing to take away, though, is developers can make this work. If you don't use Java, there's C#, there's Perl, PHP, Python, and Ruby you could export these tests to. So whatever your language you're developing in, you can run these tests against. And the best thing about using XPath is your tests are now portable. There's multiple open source software and commercial solutions that implement XPath. And we had Tom Stracener from Senzik. We wanted him to come here and show how the XPath implementation in Senzik Hailstorm works. But he was sick and couldn't make it.
So everything's failed so far, but fail is good. Epic fail. So there's other ways of using XPath. We mentioned Selenium and WebDriver already, obviously, but there's other definitely cool ways that you have to check out. Other places in the lifecycle that you can do it in that XPath can help. Maybe you can't use the same exact expressions, but that's kind of like the ultimate goal. In the case of like PMD, which is the project mess detector, it's like an inspection engine, so it's kind of like a static source code analyzer, but it really is just a static checker like LINQ, or like lint, not like XML lint, like the actual lint in C. So PMD is like lint for Java. There's a JS lint and other ones, but PMD is probably the best and well known, and it does support customization with XPath. And there are people who have written security checking tools for PMD, which is an open source tool. Runs at the command line, so you could run it as part of like an ant task. And it also runs in IDE. So if you're in Eclipse and you want to inspect your code while you're actually typing it, it'll let you know right away that you've made a mistake. And that's a great tool for finding certain vulnerabilities like SQL injection. And there's some wrappers for that. We talk about it on our website, and I think it's GDS Security. I forget the name of the person who wrote it. I apologize, but it wasn't Justin Clark. We just found out the other night that it wasn't him. But it was somebody at GDS Security who wrote a SQL injection rule set. I think it is in XPath for PMD. Web application scanners, we just mentioned, like, it would be nice if they supported XPath and you could take all of the data from Selenium or WebDriver or another tool and kind of just make it work with web application security scanners. So start with open source and then kind of like move into a commercial product, right? Like that's the kind of idea. Can you think of other places that it might work in the development cycle? Anybody? Well, we'll address them on the next few slides then. So the Selenium examples are table-driven, but they could also be script, data-driven, or capture replay. Ideally, you want to get 100% automation. I know that some people think that automation costs a lot of money. In these cases, these are all open source tools, and so that reduces the cost. Also, the complexity of these tools is a lot lower than quality testing tools used to be. And so people used to say that automation took up like 50, 60% or more of the development budget, and that's just not true today. So that's one thing that we'd like to debunk. It's definitely something that you need to look at. The context-driven school basically is one of the people test-driven development, TDD. If you've heard of that, or behavior-driven development, these concepts want to include testing a lot more in the life cycle, and so. I think that they're slowly winning at even in classically like waterfall type shops. So what's good about this? Okay, the old concepts to new. Everything used to be script driven, like in the 80s and 90s. The first language that I used for testing, like quality testing, that I was familiar with was Tickle. Lots of different people used this. It was big inside Cisco, and like there was like a whole conundrum between San Jose, Cisco, which ran like mostly Tickle and Perl, and then like Austin, who ran like Python. NIST came out with one extension to Tickle, even to help quality testing even further for script-driven testing, called Expect. This was used for a lot of quality testing stuff back in the day. They had one module or like one program that it shipped with called Auto Expect. I used to use this a lot. It basically like wrote the code for you. Like it's a very cool type of like way of programming. I always wondered where's Auto Ruby, because a lot of people compare Tickle to Ruby as kind of like being very similar. I don't know if you've experienced that, but where's Auto Ruby? But I guess we've kind of abandoned script-driven approach to quality testing anyways, and we've kind of moved on to some newer stuff. Next slide. So this is like this is the holy grail of like web automation testing. Canoo Web Test. They have a capture replay part, but it's called like Web Recorder or something. But I don't really suggest using it. I suggest just getting your hands dirty right away and doing some data-driven tests. They have some examples, some screenshots on the website that you should check out. It basically runs as an extension to Ant Builder, and all the tests are written in XML, and so you already got that going. And you can put XPath expressions inside that XML to do all the clicks and on-clicks and whatever DOM-based functionality or other functionality you want. Since it's so close to the integration, and it's so fast because it's an application driver, it's ideal for 100% automation in terms of testing. So basically, like, you could load like an Excel spreadsheet with every single type of fault injection that you want. Like you could throw RSnake's XSS cheat sheet in there, and just like with a few lines of XML, like it's not even programming code, it'll just load it and send it to all the XPath expressions that you want, and basically completely test your entire website for security testing purposes or quality testing purposes or whatever you want. I mean, you decide what the injections are and what you want to see back. While these tools, I suggest just using all the tools if you can, whatever you have time for to play with. You can mix and match tools. There's also things called domain-specific languages, which are starting to come around. I know a lot of programmers want to start using them. It's a mix between a tiny language and not really a language at all, like a script or whatever. So it's something like in between, right? It's the difference between like Ruby and C is huge, but like that's coming like a little bit closer. It will be